Hello, sports fans. Welcome to our podcast today, Ask Aaron and Ask EJ. This is Coach EJ, the brand.
It's Coach Aaron the Source. Cold, cold day. So it's a good day for a podcast. What's doing, my friend?
Well, Aaron, what's going on today and what's been going on for months now is I'm working really hard and why am I not getting my opportunity, whether it's at an opportunity to play collegiate baseball or play collegiate basketball or whatsoever. I'm working really hard and I've gone to all these events, but I've just been okay. I haven't been great. I've been good, but I still think I should get something because I'm putting in all the work. But I always say this, Aaron, performance is everything. How you compete and do well in front of the people that make decisions is important, and you have to be good every time. And I think this gets pushed to the side by a lot of young athletes is they forget that you have to be good all the time to be a collegiate athlete. It's not good one time and then you get two bad showings, then you get good one time. You have to be all the time because they want to know, are you good enough to put in that arena or on that field to perform for that college or that professional team. I truly believe that performance, hard work need to be together and not one supersedes the other.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, my first thoughts are I think there's a disconnect between, like you said, your training and your performance. And I see it a lot nowadays where, you know, people just training is kind of just like a check mark
Mm,
on a list.
right.
And they assume that okay, I did it, so I automatically should have some performance. But it's also how you do your training, what your attitude is towards your training that determines what your performance is going to be. So there's still a whole mental emotional connection that you have to have when you're training that makes the transition to competing a lot easier. Or there's a transfer of those that skill set or whatever
Right.
you've been working on. And I'm not sure if athletes quite understand that. And maybe it's because they're so, overtrained. I mean, overtrained in from the standpoint of they've been in all these structured environments for so long, it's just kind of taken for granted.
Right.
It's not a special time to get better. It's something that you do, but do you understand what I'm saying? They're not really
Yeah.
drawing the correlation to performance. So that's kind of where my
I
thoughts initially go.
Yeah. I have a question for you, and I always think about this because of how much that I do teach at this time of the year and watch athletes improve and I watch them during the fall, the winter of training, their season, the summer season. And I always think of this, Aaron. When athletes train, are they training with intent of purpose of going all out and giving their best effort every moment they're either in the gym with you or on the field or in the cage or on the practice field taking fielding with me? I don't know if athletes are really intent to be the best that moment. Are athletes taking just breaks in training, like you said earlier, training is just something you just do, right? But my question to you is, I don't get that because when I was competing, Aaron, I just thought every day was so important for me to move forward. It's like
Yeah,
building
yeah.
blocks, right? I
It,
mean, I think you feel the same way.
yeah, it's funny you asked me that because you asked me on a week where I've had two instances where I would definitely say give you a resounding no.
Okay.
One. So my confidence level isn't too high on our young athletes right now.
Okay,
I've got
okay.
I've got a couple of track athletes and
Good. Gotcha.
young
Good.
ladies, and I give athletes homework,
Exactly.
and both came back with excuses why they didn't complete the homework. or didn't do it as it was prescribed.
Right, right,
And
right.
all I can do is shake my head. Like one, I said, I want you to do three 150s. And I
Hmm.
said, okay, did you do your homework? She said, yeah. I said, the two 150s. I said, that wasn't your homework. It was three. She goes, I know. And didn't give
What?
me a reason. Didn't give me a reason. I said, well, the prescription was three. There's a reason why I give you three. I didn't say, here's three, but you have the option to do two, you know? Another athlete, I gave her a series of runs, and they're supposed to be at a prescribed pace, and they were
Right.
all over the place. She was saving herself so that she could run the last one. She wouldn't be tired on the last one. I'm like, well, that's not as prescribed. So
Right.
you when you don't follow the directions that a coach or trainer is giving you, and you don't do it the way that it's laid out for you, it's I always use the analogy of cooking and baking. If you change the ingredients or you even change the measurements of the ingredients, you change the end result of the product of your food, of your cake, of your pie, whatever you're making. And they don't seem to grasp that. I
Right.
might say, give me four 100s with 60 seconds rest. And they might give me four 100s with 30 seconds rest. Or they might give it to me with 2 minutes in between. Or they might take a 5 minute break. It just boggles my mind how they they just don't adhere to the prescriptions that are given them, and they don't understand the effect that changing it does. To me, it's almost they're thinking potato, potato.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting right now. So I don't know, man.
You know,
Again, to me, like you said, everything is about moving forward. Every workout is about moving me forward. And if you can't approach your workout, your training with that kind of zeal or zest, yeah, you're just doing the work. So I don't know. And then there's no appreciation for the work. So I don't know.
right. There's no appreciation for the work. Yeah, I agree with you. I just think that athletes, just because everyone's doing it, that means that, okay, they did it, I did it, and they were just all right when I saw them play. Why do they have that and I don't have that?
Hmm.
Well, it doesn't work that way. I think athletes need to be in the moment that they're training. They need to be at the moment during a game or at a showcase or at an event that means something. And I always thought this, I treated training sessions as like this is the last one I'm ever going to have. And I need to be engaged in this, whether it was a hitting session, a running session, a lifting session. I needed to be mentally ready. So when I had time to drive to where I was going, or I had time to reflect before I would go run or do something, Aaron, I felt I need to get myself ready mentally. And I think this is another subject we can talk about. The mentality of athletes these days of appreciation not only for the work, but being prepared to do the work on a daily basis. That is such a thing that's never talked about anymore. And I think it's a subject that we could really talk about what it takes to be an athlete day to day and the grind of what it takes in your mind and how strong you have to be mentally and how do you work through those little minor aches and pains that aren't injuries but they're just telling your body, hey, I need to rest today or I need to do this today. And
Hmm.
how do you take care of that mentally? Because some players think, hey, I didn't train today,
Hmm.
I'm in trouble, and it's, too much or too little. they don't know how to deal with that mentally. That maybe that's another subject, Aaron, but I think it plays in part to what we're talking about today of hard work and performance and being prepared and what it takes to be a really elite athlete.
Yeah, my impression is that athletes are more interested in surviving their training than
Mm.
than
Okay, I got
whereas
you.
for me, my when I was competing, I was all about conquering my training for the day. And I guess maybe it's easier when you're in track and field because you're timing things. So if I had
Right.
an assignment, one, I was going to try and complete the assignment and then maybe
Right.
exceed it. Not necessarily destroy it, but at least exceed it incrementally to say, hey, you know what? I pushed myself better than what I thought. And again, maybe that's
Right.
easier in a sport like track and field where you're measuring and your timing than some of your field and court sports. But that was
Okay.
my approach. But I don't see the kids doing it in the gym where sometimes I'll watch a kid and they'll do a set of squats or lunges, and I'm like, okay, don't you think it's time to add a little more weight? Because you went through that pretty quickly,
Right, right.
pretty easily. So again, some of them have that. Well, I did my 10 squats, but
Mm.
you know, did they? Did you were you under any exertion? You know,
Oh,
were
yeah.
you, where was your
Right.
technique? So now I kind of use a sliding scale with them, and I'd say, look, on a scale of 1 to 10, if 1 is very easy and 10 is very hard, I want every lift you do to be a 7. If you can't, if it's not, it doesn't feel like it's a 7, then it's probably, not
Right,
you're
right.
not putting in enough effort, or if it's 8 or 9, you're probably putting in too much.
Okay.
So
Okay.
kind of help them modulate, their intensity and their effort. And I think they just don't know. But
Right. They're conditioned that way. They don't know.
yeah,
Okay.
but a lot of them again have the whole this is just something that I have to get through
Hmm.
to move on to the next thing.
Right. Right.
So there's also that that kind of survival mode. Um,
Surviving training. I love the way you said that.
and that is something that I think, me, I'm always going back to the home,
Right.
can permeate other parts of their life. Do they do their schoolwork like that? Do they do their chores like that?
Right.
So I just think so much of a sport and excelling and getting to the upper echelons of anything has so much to do with your mental capabilities, your attitude, all of those sorts of things. Again, I've been training athletes for over 40 years, and there's so many
Uh,
different ways to get there physically in terms of training modalities.
right.
But without some of those core psychological things, it just doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah, I think that's so important. You said those psychological things need to be ingrained in home training, as we call it,
Yeah.
street kids, as we call it. And people out there, what we're talking about is that parenting at home is really important in your athlete's journey. And when we say street kids, we're talking about going down the street and playing like you did back in the day, where when the lights went down, it was ready to come home rather than scheduled events, you know. And there's a lot to be learned there, Aaron, regarding that. And I think how I feel about it is that I don't see kids get together anymore and just grind it out. Like, hey, let's go work out today, and I'm gonna compete against you.
Hmm.
Like, what happened? What happened to that? I I think back on a lot of things about a lot of athletes I've trained, like you over these 39 years for me. And I look at these guys and say, what was the difference in like a Chris Carter or, and we know about the animal and what he did. And, and we look at all the guys on your wall, like a Stevenson or a Brandon Crawford, all these guys, and many, many other great athletes, boxers you've had. basketball players, football players, etc. Um, they have a common trait,
Yeah.
and that trait is to be the best they can be all the time, and they want it to be at that level, this elite level, and there was no stopping them because they wanted to be the best they could be. Their pro career was their pro career, but their mentality is something that's ingrained in all of them. And I think that's what's missing in maybe today's athletes that are trying to aspire to be collegiate athletes or professional athletes at the next level. It's not an Instagram, YouTube thought. It's a, hey, what's my mentality? And I'm working in the dark. No one wants to work in the dark anymore, Aaron. And I say that dark is like nobody's watching you. It's lonely doing that. And I think, athletes just have a hard time these days understanding that concept, a very simple, fundamental concept of being the best you can be every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would agree. I think they've got so many activities, they're kind of just numb to it.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, yeah,
they get numb to it, and they don't savor the opportunities to compete. They don't savor the opportunities to practice, and really participate in their sport. And I don't know if that's because they're, again, over inundated with training and practices and all the other information, or
right.
maybe they're starting too young. Maybe they're too immersed in their sport. They're playing it year round versus playing some other things, so they don't really miss it. There could be a lot of different. I'm sure there's a lot of different reasons why
Right.
we've
Yeah.
seen that ability diminished in kids nowadays. So I don't know. It's not something that's hard to regain. It's just, I think, parents and athletes have to structure their athletic lives so that that is a factor. Those things are factors. And so it means
Right.
charting your own path, not following the herd, not getting caught up in, the fear of missing out, all of those sorts of things. And again, charting your own path, I think that can easily be done. So,
Yeah. Well, well said. I don't know if you have anything else to say today about the subject, Aaron, but I think we've touched upon some really key points in trying to get from point A to point B and how to get there the correct way.
yeah, I don't know. It's like, people ask for the secret sauce and they turn it into ketchup every time.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, on that note, people out there in our podcast world, this is Coach EJ from the Ask Aaron and Ask EJ show.
And this is Coach Aaron. We'll see you.